Watch this video with our virtual reality glasses for smartphone. virtualvisor.com.
Now pass on the mic to Mr. Gertis or Hubert.
Yes, Hubert, that's fine. Thank you. If you looked into the schedule, there have been some slight changes. Simon Gosling had to call in sick, which is rather unfortunate, especially for me, because now I have to do the keynote, or at least some introductory words. My name is Hubert Gertis. I'm working in the digital space since probably 25 years or something like that. And currently I'm working as an interim manager for a TV station, which is offering Bollywood content for Germany, dubbed in German. And I'm building up the digital services for them. It's called Head of Digital, which is rather strange because everything's digital there. But they still make the distinction between television and the other digital things. What we're talking about today is virtual reality. Is it by definition social or anti-social? As I just said, I'm currently working for a TV station, and you can ask the same question there. Is television a social medium or an anti-social medium? And it depends a little bit on the definition, how we look at it. So by definition, of course, television is completely no social or anti-social because it's just blasting stuff out and you either watch or not, or you receive it or not. On the other hand, it's a very social medium because it's usually a very shared experience if it's good. So if you watch a football game, if you watch it alone, it's kind of boring. If you watch it like with 5 people, it's much better. And if you watch it with 5 people and 10 beers, it starts to get like really, really exciting. Well, try this with VR, because if you watch the same football game right now in VR, you are alone. Not like in a song, you never stay alone or whatever it is. You're truly alone because you strap on an interesting device in front of your eyes, in front of your head. Everything which is happening outside is actually a distraction. So if there is some noise there or anything happening, or if somebody is just talking, or maybe even worse, doing something like this is totally distracting. This drives you crazy because you don't see what's happening. So you could say it's totally antisocial. And it gets even worse if you try to drink a beer and you have to VR glasses on, because you can drink proudly, but you cannot put it down because you might try to put it down on a virtual table and funny things can happen. So by this definition, VR would be a totally anti-social medium because you put it on, you do not want to be disturbed by the outside real reality, and the real reality for us human beings is mostly a social reality if we're not hermits somewhere in a cave in the mountains, because around us are people and we usually are interacting with them. We look into their eyes or try to not look into their eyes, depending on. So many things are happening and many things are going on. Case closed, but probably not. Most likely not, because otherwise I guess the decision by Facebook getting into Oculus for $2 billion might be a little bit strange, because if you look at Facebook, of course, that's like a social medium par excellence. The only thing people are doing there is like social interaction and maybe consuming some kind of content. So maybe there is something in the pipeline there which essentially says, yeah, right now it's totally anti-social, but the next step is it's hyper-social. It's like the most social medium you can imagine. And if you look at Facebook, Facebook as a social medium is a little bit awkward in a certain kind of way, because if we communicate as human beings, usually it's a synchronous communication. So I look at you, and you look at me, and it's like happening at the same time. On Facebook, it's like I write you something, so I speak to you, and it might take between 5 seconds or 5 days or 5 weeks until you respond. If you look at the possibilities you get with virtual reality in the next step, not today, it's something which might differ. It might differ because if you look at, I mean, who of you guys in the audience has ever tried a VR experience? Okay, that's about 50-50. The other 50% do it right now. Not right now, would wait another hour, 50 minutes, then try it either today or maybe tomorrow even. I don't know, the VR launch in the fourth floor. Today. Try today. Run upstairs and try some of the experiences or line up here at the Oculus, whatever bus, and try some of those things. Because actually, the first thing you will experience, it's an experience, you know, it's totally mind-blowing. And the second thing you will experience, again, it's you are alone there. You're alone in a virtual world, and everybody around you is most likely computer generated and acting kind of awkward and stupid because it's just a fairly stupid bot which is just going to be around doing things like that. And you can touch it, you can bump into it, and the only thing this bot can do is like, it's a scripted thing which says, no, don't touch me or whatever. So it's not social. But if you start connecting those kind of devices, network those kind of devices, the idea is, of course, that you make a step which is, if we look at communication, technically assisted communication, like, yes, we have telephones and we talk to somebody who's like really, really far away sometimes. And I still remember back then, my grandmother, for her, telephone was something like a weird thing, you know. Yes, she kind of grew up with it, but it's, she was not really used to it. She was born in 1903. And she lived for a long time in Argentina, and back then telephones there, they just didn't exist. So what she always did is when she was talking to somebody, depending on the distance, she changed the loudness of her voice. So it was, if it was a long distance call, she was like really, really shouting into the telephone, and if it's like a short distance call, you could talk a little bit easier because it's not so far away. We're not acting like that anymore because we're totally used to the telephone experience. The next step is something like if you Skype and you see the other person, maybe a little bit pixelated or not, it's getting closer because you see something happening in the face. It's still a little bit awkward because either you look at the camera or you look on the screen, but if you look at the camera, you don't see what's happening on the screen, you don't see the other person anymore. If you don't look in the camera, it's, I'm not looking at you, then I'm looking at something like this. No, it's not that close. And the basic idea about a social VR experience is, of course, a total telepresence. You know, you strap on a device, and you strap on a device, and it's not like 2 meters, it's 200,000 kilometers, or maybe 20, maybe more realistically, it's 20 kilometers, and we sit in front of each other and we communicate like we would sit in front of each other. Of course, it's like totally far away, and maybe it will never happen that way because maybe those devices are way too clunky to do that, because a phone is something, a phone is ringing, and hey, okay, here I am, and no, just imagine your Rift is ringing, you know, oh, there's somebody on the Rift, and you have to boot your computer and turn the Rift on.
I don't know what you mean by it's far away, because we already have Oculus Social, Social Alpha, where we can be sitting next to each other, watching someone else play a video game. That's where our avatars are sitting together, and you can look at each other and you can speak to each other, so there is presence there. You've got real VR, where you are inside another person playing a game, so this thing that you say that is in the future, it's already here. Of course it's buggy and it doesn't work.
I would essentially disagree, because yes, it's there, but it's in a stage where essentially even the Skype presence is more of a presence than those lucky avatars who get on point spaces and shit like that. But that's probably something we should try to tackle in the discussion zone and try to. What we try to find out is just for ourselves here and everybody here is this going to be a social medium? Is it by definition a social medium? Is it becoming a social medium? And maybe let's start with a couple of quick questions, to be honest. We already asked, who already has had a VR experience? Who's owning a headset, a head-mounted device? Okay, there's still a lot of people. Okay, who of you guys is on Facebook? Twitter? Mobile phone? Okay, television? Car? Okay, no, okay, that's just fine. And now maybe the really bad or quick question. Who of you guys thinks VR will become a social medium? Okay, that's not, it's close to 50%. Who is thinking it's not becoming a social medium because maybe somebody's not yet decided? Okay, there are many people are not decided yet, and probably what we're going to do is either to push them into one side or the other. And that's what we're trying right now here with this new panel. And I guess we start with a short round of introduction, and because you're sitting right next to me, probably you start, Robert.
Okay, thank you, Hubert. So my name is Robert Overweg. I'm lead concept and innovation at Triple. Triple is a company 120 people strong in the Netherlands, and we have developed two divisions in virtual reality. One is Beyond Sports. With Beyond Sports, we have 4 cameras on the side of soccer fields, and we tag all of the players, and for us, those are just X-Y coordinates running around. And on top of those X-Y coordinates, we put a 3D shell. So we create an entire simulation from the actual soccer match. We can already show it instantly. So in the future, you can imagine that you can sit next to the soccer field, or that you can experience stuff through the eyes of the soccer player. That's what we can already do. And currently, soccer clubs like Ajax, AZ, PSV, and Dutch national team, they train with this. So we create custom small scenarios for soccer players to train with, to exercise, to practice their cognitive abilities, to increase their accuracy, and to teach. And the soccer coaches use this to teach the philosophy of the club to the players. So each of the clubs has their own soccer philosophy, like you need to pass the ball to the third man always within half a second, or you need to always pass the ball really deep. So you won't believe it, but every club has its own idea of how you should play football. And you can put that into the custom scenarios. And I think later on we will have these fan experience as well, where you can look through the eyes of Messi, and where you can have avatars on the side of the field and watch together with your friends, possibly. Maybe in short bursts or small segments. And then we also have Beyond Care, and through Beyond Care we want to make the world a better place. Like we believe that through VR we can make people better. One of the things we're creating is a virtual reality EMDR simulation. And we've put the entire therapy of a therapist, the entire protocol we put in VR. So we put the entire protocol of a therapist who treats people from post-traumatic stress disorder, and we put that into virtual reality. And we also distract people from pain, which can help in certain treatments like treadmill exercise when people need to walk through the pain. So there could be the possibility that you either need to have surgery or have therapy, and therapy most of the times for these sort of patients hurts a lot. We put them into a beautiful environment, forest, butterflies floating around you, and deers running in the background, and then you walk further than you would have normally walked. And those sort of things, to me, are beautiful and are for us the purpose of VR.
Actually sounds totally fascinating, but I guess we have to dig a little bit deeper into that. But before we can do that, Sönke, it's up to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks. Yeah, Sönke Kirchhoff is my name. I'm funny-wise in this context. There's two companies. I started Real Life Film International 10 years ago, based in Berlin and in Hamburg. We focused on stereoscopic 3D filmmaking, so it was always on not on genres or formats. It was on immersion, on telling stories, or immerse the audience. So there was always a way in the production field and the post-production field focused on VFX and stuff like this. So we have always been in a way on the forefront of technology, but didn't recognize ourselves as technologists, but as creatives in a way. And so we started with virtual reality kind of projects 9 years ago. 360 projection system, camera technologies, and so on, and 180-degree stuff. So last year we started a company called InVR.space, which is basically based in Hamburg and in Berlin, mainly in Berlin, where we have like a couple more than 10 people working there, excluding freelancers, on how to say, we lost the thread a little bit without losing it on just focusing on filmmaking, because we learned that the digital world that you just explained at the beginning of this, it's all digital right now, and digital could have a lot of creative approaches and technologies that are used not for filmmaking normally, but for games perhaps. We combined all these fields in a way in our company, calling it a full service studio now. That brings the production facilities and post-production facilities, but post-production doesn't only mean like VFX and compositing, but programming as well, and stuff from the games world. And again, with India, we are not focusing on specific kind of formats or genres, but on immersing the audience with interesting projects. And this can be documentary, this can be fictional stuff, but this can be games content as well. And at the question on social or antisocial, I think each format brings an own amount and own level of social or unsocial or not social, which is always related in a way to the format and to what the audience wants to have.
Okay, Henning.
Yeah,
Last but not
thank you very much. My name is Henning Westerwelle. I'm the managing director of Infected Post-Production. We're a post-production with the DNA coming from advertising. So the company is quite old. It belongs to the Markenfilm group, and so we are around over decades. But in the last years, we spent some effort and time with our team to R&D the whole world of 360-degree video, and as well virtual reality content and content creation. So we developed ourselves. We became a kind of content creator, as well as for flat, let's call it now flat commercials and stuff like that. And now doing in the last couple of months and quite successful for some clients, immersive VR experiences, like 360-degree videos for Philip Morris or Volkswagen, and as well now we are creating right now. We finished creating the newest Volkswagen virtual reality, immersive virtual reality experience for the Paris Motor Show, which launches next week. So if you want to see that, you have to go, unfortunately, to Paris to see it, because I'm not allowed to show or talk about it now. But what we witnessed, so this is quite a good point, is when we talk to clients, to advertising agencies, or to the clients directly, right now they're discussing the social part of virtual reality, because I think immersiveness became quite a buzzword quite early on. So everybody's talking about, okay, it has to be immersive, of course, and you have to touch something in the real world, and then you feel it in the VR. But we are always as well discussing the social component of VR. So it's the tiniest things are, can I post something in my social network from the VR experience, or can I invite people into the VR experience while I'm in? So we're not there yet. Not some of this stuff is possible. Some of this stuff someone, and we have done already, and the same thing is with, let's say, a real, unreal, three-dimensional, real-time VR experience. We are already talking to clients and discussing, okay, how can I meet up with people? How can I have an experience within an advertising context, like a brand communication context, like for a big auto car company. We are always discussing the part of, okay, how can we meet up and how can we kind of aim for a social component in these experiences, which is rising on the briefing tables. So I would say we are not social yet, but we try our best to. I think the whole industry who's on the road to VR is trying the best to get some social stuff into the experiences or in the applications. But I think we're still in this learning position of this is what Facebook is aiming, I think, with the Oculus strategy to train people very early on, even if you're not interested in VR, to always get it in your feed when you're doing on your mobile phone, so that you're trained to deal with VR on a certain level. So even if it's just a 360-degree video, and I think this is kind of a training for all of us to get ready on a very, very big amount of people, even if old or young. I mean, for young people it's a no-brainer, but even for the old people, so that everybody is, in some years, everybody's trained to handle virtual reality, even with a headset or whatever, and so that it's that kind of the entry step into the full social aspect becomes quite easy for everybody.
I think those statements will make kind of clear where everybody's coming from on the stage. It's a quite diverse background we're having here. And I asked everybody of you guys to make a quick statement or prepare a quick statement on if you think like is VR going to become a social medium, or will it always stay this kind of anti-social medium? I know you totally disagree that it's an anti-social medium right now, but that's part of the game. And maybe we make this quick round, and as I'm not an impartial moderator, I will make a statement as well. But maybe just...
Yeah, so I want to say one thing is, because VR is, I mean the modern VR we have now for the last years, which came up again, and now suddenly it's there again, and it's the thing again. I think right now it's not on the point we are aiming for, but right now it's social, because if you want to show people VR, you always need help with it. So television right now it's okay. You can when you put your child to IKEA or somewhere and it needs kind of entertainment, you put it in front of a TV and you switch on the Pixar movie, and then, I mean, this is quite unsocial because the child is just sitting in front of a TV and seeing a movie. If you want to show people right now VR, you really, or you want to not show, you want to kind of make a very positive impression, it is a very social thing, because you have to prep a lot of stuff, you have to prep a good room, you have to prep a good, as you said, you have to prep everything right, and then you have to do a good introduction. And then you have to, you need to bond a bit with the people because they have to trust you. Because when you put up a headset and the noise-canceling headphones, the guy who's in the VR needs to trust you that you're not stealing his wallet or his mobile phone. Yeah, we are discussing this because of this Paris Motor Show right now. So how much room and how much effort we have to put in to make the visitors of the fair trust the VR experience of a company. So, and we will see it now. I'm very, very curious. So this is, in a way, it's very social right now, because you have to interact with people, a group of people in many, many ways. Even you have to put on these headgears and you have to touch them and say, don't go that far. There's a wall or something like that, or a corner of a table if you do something wrong. So it's not really the thing. But right now, because we are kind of pioneers in this modern age of VR, it's quite you have to communicate, and it does something with people when they witnessing a very cool virtual reality experience, because even if there's a group and everybody is doing this experience by himself, afterwards they are all very, very positively loaded up, and then they are kind of interacting strongly with each other because they all witnessed the same crazy, very nice, immersive thing. If it's a good content, which is another topic, if there is enough good content right now. But so right now it becomes social on this it's kind of post-social, because the people are so electrified, even clients, I mean, this I have to tell this, after delivering a final master to the client and showing it to them, if you're delivering a movie, even if it's 4K or stereo or whatever, clients are most like, yeah, okay, it's another movie we did, that's nice. It costs a fortune, but it's nice. But when you deliver VR, even if it's not brilliant, because we are on this road of trying and achieving the best we can, they are all so electrified of saying, cool, this is really, we bought something cool now, we got something new now. So it's very, in the best way, it's very positively uploading for people. So I think this is a social component as well. And when we're talking about modern love, it's a new kind of falling in love with a new medium out there. So long story short, if it becomes social in a way of having VR social networks, I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure generations to come, and the young generations will kind of adapt.
You have a screen here of the game, you have avatars here, and you have extra information here, and well, that's a world you can hang out in, which has like additional information that the physical world does not have.
So actually, your definition of social is more like the definition of using a technical device to communicate in a new kind of way. So it's probably more like.
I'm saying you can also be social in the virtual sphere. It does not necessarily have to be, because if your avatar is present, then it is debatable that you are present as well. Especially if you have voice, and in the future we will have, now we have gaze, so we can look at each other. Then in the future we have eye tracking, so our pupils can also match. All of those things will happen, I think.
I think what is an interesting aspect is what you're already doing is by helping people with in virtual reality, treating their issues. You can use VR to train yourself to even become maybe a bit more social person. And this is the first medium which makes that happen. Not a book. I mean, you can read a book about how can I speak in front of a room of 50 people, or you can watch a movie about it, or you listen to these earbooks while sleeping, and then you stop smoking or something like that. But I mean, in VR, it's the first time that you can very easily create a scene to help somebody to learn about, maybe speak in front of people, and he doesn't. And it's just a trial. It's kind of the walkway into training yourself to be a bit more social, to be a bit more kind of extroverted, to show yourself a bit more. So even this is an aspect of this. Is it a social medium? I would say in a way it's the first medium which kind of could really help people to become a bit more of a more social person, because some people are shy or would never train themselves in the field of, okay, say, now I'm getting grab a guitar and get into the inner city and play some songs. But you can all simulate that, and I think these kind of simulations or stuff like this is not something which kind of excludes you out of the society. It's more, it trains you more to become more included. So we had this one. We shot this one 360-degree video with a car running through Barcelona. It's quite. It's part of this new project, and we drove with the car through very tiny streets with this roadster, and everybody on the street was watching to the car on the camera. So at the end, you're sitting in this car, and you're driving this experience, and people are always watching. And they had a look at this crazy camera on this crazy car, but at the end of the experience, you're sitting in the car, and everybody is watching to you, which is extremely, it was not planned, but in a way it kind of make the immersiveness and the feeling of the experience so much more, so stronger, because you're so visible, you feel yourself very visible in the experience. So it's not a passive walkthrough, it's a very active kind of thing, even with a linear video. So I think this is maybe one more component of the social medium.
Robert, you mentioned your virtual analyst before. Your virtual analyst.
The therapist?
Yeah, therapist.
Yeah, great.
Would you define this as a social VR experience, or is it more like something Henning is talking about? It's something which has a social effect.
It more has a social effect because we notice that people open up more to the virtual therapist than they do to the physical therapist, and that almost becomes like a social thing, but then with an entity that does not exist. Like there isn't even like an avatar there, but there is a voice. And when you open up more to the voice, and it works for you as a human being, and your treatment is better, then it has effect in the real world, in the physical world, and yeah. Did that answer the question? I want to throw one thing on the table. Like, so we're all talking about, yeah, it can be social, but if I now go into VR, and I put on the headset, and it's like the most antisocial thing you could do, but it's sort of the same as if I would start texting as well, although that is becoming more and more normal as well. Now when you're in a conversation with 3 people and one of them gets a phone, like, okay, I'm going to text, and then the second one does it as well, and then everyone is on their phone. I wonder if that will happen in VR as well.
I wonder if you go to restaurants and there's a table with 4 people sitting with the VR headset on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the first one put his headset on. Okay.
Me too. Yeah. Or maybe in augmented reality. Who knows?
I think that's a totally valid point, because the telephone, obviously, it's just a communication device, a social communication device. But if somebody would like stand up here in the back of the room and start talking to somebody on the phone totally loud, this would be, of course, totally antisocial. But
I think maybe I'll throw something as well is some people are saying that they, of course not virtual reality, but mixed reality, let's say, so Google Glasses or HoloLens is making it very, very much social, because you're able to see the real world, see what's on there, and then fill up these chairs with your friends who are sitting in Hawaii or New York or wherever. But I really have a problem with this idea of that it sounds like, yeah, we can have a chat, and while we are chatting, I have lots of more information about you, on my schedule, on my emails, on my daily routine, my to-do list, whatever. I think this is one of the most, this counts, this pays off what you're saying. This is one of the most unsocial things you can have. It's like, while having a conversation, checking text or emails. So I don't want to live in a world where everybody wears mixed reality glasses, and then and I'm not seeing that he's reading emails or checking.
That's the point. What if we are in sync, like Magic Leap wants to do? What if we all have that thing on and we all see the same thing? Would it then also be antisocial?
Yeah, no. This I would say this.
You wouldn't see that.
Now everyone could see the same thing. With Magic Leap, you can in sync look at the same thing.
As a mutual experience, but I mean, I think I totally share your point of view. Like, people would do other stuff as well as we are sitting.
But if we wouldn't, like if we would all sync into the same like IP, same Wi-Fi here, and we could only see like the elephant there doing something, and we go, oh yeah, an elephant.
So we
Because
can
that's the
talk
example
about the
everyone
pink
shows.
elephant in the room.
yeah, finally we can create the pink elephant in the room.
Finally, we see
Everybody
all the
sees
elephant
it.
in the room.
You don't have to smoke anything for getting it.
Yeah, but I think my opinion is most of the time technology is developing in this way that you're having your emails in your HoloLens, and it's not the the colorless future movies are telling or did told in the 80s or 90s, like Back to the Future 2. But right now it's more or less, yeah, I can transport my movement of checking my stuff on the HoloLens. And if you see this, I mean, I think in some years, maybe just in 1 year or 2 years, there will be kind of mixed lenses that you are kind of clear, and if you want to have a closed VR experience, then you just switch off. I mean, Framestore did this with the whole bus, and it's the whole technology. It's a clear window, and you press a button, and then suddenly you are in the closed VR experience in your. So I think this is more the problem of making this medium more unsocial, that you can trick your opponent by that you can read SMS and stuff like that, because you're just seeing it, because we will maybe wear at a certain point everybody's able to wear a mixed reality device, and it comes from Ray-Ban, Oakley, and whatever. So
I just have the feeling we're getting there somewhere, because what you're mentioning was this, yeah, and then this guy sitting in front of me, and I don't know if he's checking his email or reading his text, or maybe just checking up my bio and tries to find my weak spots. Maybe some people in the room remember the Google Glass, and just after, I guess it was 6 months after the glass was introduced, there was a term introduced for people sitting there with the glass and Googling you, and it's the glass hole, because it's a totally anti-social behavior. The funny thing is, if you're in a VR, in real reality, I mean, we're sitting here, and if you're not in a kind of disturbed kind of mental state, you have the feeling, yes, I see you, we see the screens, we listen to the same thing. In virtual reality, we have to trust somebody that we see the same thing, because we can't know. Or do we? Maybe it's something for you, because you're the hardcore.
Could you repeat the last part?
If you share an experience, like the one you talked about before, like the magic leap, and everybody's in the room and seeing the pink elephant, how do we know that how do I know that you are seeing the same pink elephant and not maybe yellow clouds or a heavy metal band or doing something completely different?
You could just make it into the programming, into the software. You could just have one person be the only one able to broadcast something. But that's like future thinking. But currently in VR, you know what someone is looking at because they're looking into the same direction. Or maybe you can have their pointer, like their gaze, and have it point somewhere that you know that he is looking in that direction. Could also work. That's a question over there.
It's more a statement.
Just a second, you get a mic.
I don't know. I think there's a need to differentiate between social experiences that are made in the same room and social VR experience that can be made like over a big distance. For example, I don't know how many of you have ever tried a social VR experience, and I'm totally with you, Robert, when you say there's a kind of when you're sitting in a like 4-chair cinema scene with 4 avatars in this room, and you have like this 3 avatars around you, and even if they're cubes, like you see them in real relations to like in real bigness, so you know how big they are, how far away they are, and you see their head movement, and that makes so much of a presence like that you cannot imagine. I think trying social VR is like trying VR if you haven't tried it yet. So you need to try it to get like how the feel of presence works.
Great. Yeah, I think one point that I always have feeling as well in this discussion is it seems a little bit that everybody has a sense for what he's thinking about when he's talking about VR, but VR is not defined in a way. Like this therapist thing is something completely different than a cinematic VR film thing where I don't have to talk about getting emails or short messages in there because I want to watch a film. But which is completely different to Google Glasses, HoloLens, mixed reality, ultimate AR, and so on. So for me, the most interesting thing would be what is VR in 2 years, and what kind of social impact did it have or not, and will it be, as you're talking about therapists, I think there is a social component which is huge in a way. But I talked to my grandfather about a project that we are asked to do about helping not curing, because you can cure it, Alzheimer Patienten. And I directly had the feeling, I came in there with the idea, this is great, this is really helping people. And I got the reaction from my grandfather, who has not Alzheimer, but that like, I would rather get the personal, I don't want to have this kind of technology in my face to cure me or to help me. I want to have a person around me to care about me. That's why I'm married to my wife since decades. And I think that's an interesting point, because it can be social for them who are willing to get this help, or who are getting help from this. And on the other side, you can destroy a social aspect totally with this for people who didn't want to get this kind of technology or this kind of help.
Of course, yeah, you should never replace the human aspect. Of course, correct.
We need a microphone.
And you're right as well with making differentiation in VR, because you have 360 VR, you have 360 stereoscopic, then you have true VR where you build everything, and all of those have different advantages and disadvantages and are social or less social. And
yeah, we talked about the blindness thing.
notes on blindness.
Notes on blindness, right? Which is not very visual in a way. It is actually, because it shows you something, but yeah.
You have a question? Yes, first of all, I think it's a pretty interesting panel today, because I really love that discussion about antisocial and social as a company who has to deal with that all the time. So exactly that's very interesting for me, because that's a brand promise of Deutsche Telekom, Life is for Sharing. So I have a question, because we are on the Reeperbahn festival. That means we are also on a music festival. I'm curious about your opinion. What could be then a social music VR experience? Yeah. So is it what we have done with Red Hot Chili Pepper, doing a 360 flight over the audience? You can watch left and right, or is it that I'm pretty close to the artist? Do we think that Anthony Kiedis or another artist will wear a GoPro on his head in the future?
I mean, the Samsung commercial where this father goes into this.
And by the way, I was exactly, that's a good example. Thinking of, is that now social or antisocial?
Yeah, I had this. I want to throw what I want to throw in is because my point is we are in training of how to use VR, and of course there's no global UN training mission for training the world how VR should be work. But I think we made some mistakes by how we trained ourselves in the last decade using a smartphone. And I mean, we are on the Reeperbahn festival, and I think this is one of the very big issues. I'm not sure if there was a panel about this, but I mean, I'm not sure if all of you know, but there are some startups and companies who are developing solutions of how you can stop this on concerts, that all people are standing there and not listening to the artist anymore, just recording it on the cell phones.
Which is absolutely true, and I'm working for a company which that business is our revenues.
I'm a big fan of the idea of blocking.
Do you know what I did? So I went with my daughter. She's 12 years old. Her first concert experience was a Violetta concert. So it's a Disney marketing machine rolling over all the world. Yeah. So we were at Cologne in the Lanxess Arena. So and what she did immediately, she held up her smartphone and I said, "Come on, I will make your film. Just watch it. Be here right now, and don't watch it through the screen." Yeah. They started down there on the stage, and just enjoy it right now. You can look at it later, so I record it for you. Yeah. So I think that's something. I don't want to see my daughter all the time watching a live concert, even if she's there through a screen. So I think that makes no sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But on the other side, I really like even also the idea. Wouldn't it be great if I could be also on a Rolling Stones concert in Cuba at the same time, yeah, when they do that amazing festival, in maybe even also 360. Yeah.
I think we're touching here really the essence of virtual reality and the promise of the essence of virtual reality, and it's the reality part. And what you're talking about with a sense is like, hey, the real reality is so strong, you know. Don't put your screen in front of you. And maybe the question to you guys is, how strong can this virtual reality become, or how strong should it become, that it can be something like a replacement for the guys not being in Cuba or in the
I mean, to answer your question, how can it be, or what's a good idea for a music concert, and if Anthony Key is wearing a GoPro on his head, maybe he should start with that now. But I'm not sure who here played the new Guitar Hero Live thing on the PlayStation, where you have the real shot video POV, where you're playing with the band, and you have this direct feedback of a band playing with you, and the drummer says, "Come on, man, you're shitty," and play better, and the audience is booing. It's not VR yet. Not sure. It's not possible to be VR. But I think the next iteration of this game will be a VR game. And I've played this some months ago, and I was thinking, this needs to be VR, because then I'm playing a guitar, and this needs to be a VR game with Coldplay. First
don't trust the techies as well. You need creative people, not just for reinventing music in VR, you need it for social as well, because we're not there yet, but we might be on the way. Thanks everybody, thanks for listening. Yeah.